Hey all, Binks here. And today we have our first big patch of Marvel Snap, June 29th, 2022. There are buffs, there are nerfs, new locations, a couple different small changes. We're gonna try and cover just about everything here today, and I'm really excited to jump into it with y'all. As always, if you're enjoying the content, make sure to like the video, consider subscribing if you want a new Marvel Snap content every weekday, and you can catch me live over at twitch.tv/binks_plays. Let's get into it. First off, we have Okoye. Okoye used to be a 2 energy, 1 power on reveal, give every card in your deck plus 2 power. Now it's a 1 energy, 1 power on reveal, give every card in your deck plus 1 power. Kind of a nerf, kind of a buff, more of a rework. What I've seen with Okoye is that it just feels really good to play on turn 1 right now. It used to feel a little bad playing it on turn 2 unless you're totally okay with having a slow deck. So 1 energy reduction for -1 power can seem like a lot, but being able to play it a turn early is really huge. Plus it opens up the door for you to play stronger or more proactive things on turns 2 through 6, if that's kind of how you want to run the deck. Right now, I think you can run it in just about any deck, honestly. It's just a very, very solid 1-drop. If you end up playing 2 or 3 cards that you end up drawing because of this, you're going to get a complete payoff. So I think you can run it in just about any deck right now. We have a huge buff to Braven. Braven used to be a 2 energy, 2 power. When a card moves here, this gets plus 1 power. Now it is a 2 energy, 2 power. When a card moves here, this gets plus 2 power. So huge improvement. This used to not even be included in almost any move deck. You know, you had to get 2 triggers on it to be even worth thinking about being played. But now if you get 2, 3 triggers on this, you end up getting like 8 power for 2 energy. Super effective. I think that this instantly will slot into just about any move deck. Like I said, just getting like 2 triggers on it, moving it with Heimdall like once can often just get like enough power out of it to make it worth it. So huge upgrade, and it definitely needed it. You can start being kind of tricky with this if you're playing decks with like Nightcrawler or, you know, Vision. Maybe you even find ways to slot this in at the 2 spot if you think you can get 2 triggers out of it. But most likely, I think it'll just stay in move decks and become a staple there for the future. Speaking of move decks, we had a very small buff to Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange used to be a 3 energy, 2 power. On reveal, move your highest power cards to this location. Now it's a 3 energy, 3 power. On reveal, move your highest power cards to this location. I always felt weird looking at Doctor Strange before I really dug into move decks. Doctor Strange is really important because it's one of the only cards that can move your cards to the right. A lot of other cards will move them to the left and you start getting stuffed over on the left location. So Doctor Strange is a way to kind of like reset, bring your strong cards over to the right so you can continue moving them. I think that the 1 power buff is totally fine. It felt really weak at 2 power. I actually almost thought about like not including it when I was first building a move deck, but quickly understood why it was just in every move deck. A really good utility piece, really great to be able to move things around. I think that this is fine. This, along with Braven, might move like move decks up to the top, especially with the nerfs that we're going to get into. So, you know, look out for these move decks, especially people who have like Dagger unlocked and all these other cards. Definitely think that this was deserved. I'm excited to try more move decks in the future. And, you know, this kind of just cements it as a staple move card. We also had a small buff to Colossus. Colossus was a 2 energy, 3 power, ongoing, can't be destroyed or moved, and now it's added or have its power reduced. Now this doesn't seem huge. There's not too many cards that do this, like Scorpion. I'm actually interested to see if Scorpion will affect this because it's in your hand. So I don't know if the ongoing effect will trigger before then. I'm gonna guess not. But like Spider-Woman or Hazmat won't be able to reduce the power of this card. Can also stand through the different locations that lower power. So that's a pretty big utility buff that's gonna come from Colossus. Colossus doesn't really see too much play. I was actually just playing it in my Wong-going deck recently. And I think that this power boost is pretty good. Kind of funnily, the night of the patch, I was playing an Exodia Hazmat combo where you trigger Hazmat a bunch of times. And I forgot that Colossus had gotten buffed like this. and it didn't affect my opponent's Colossus, and I actually lost because of it. So make sure you keep your mind and eyes out for this guy if you're doing anything that reduces power, or you have a power reducing location. Know that Colossus isn't going to be affected, and see what you can do with it. I'm excited for this one. The White Queen gets a buff. White Queen used to be a 4 energy, 6 power on reveal. If your opponent has a 6 cost card in their hand, gain a copy of it. Now it is a 4 energy, 6 power on reveal. Draw a copy of the highest cost card in your opponent's hand. So a nice needed buff. White Queen would always give you information you could know that they didn't have a 6 drop, but you wouldn't get any real payoff out of it. And that kind of felt bad, especially when a lot of people weren't running 6 drops or they were running Chavez. So by the time you played White Queen, you wouldn't actually get any, payoff for it or a new card in your hand. But with this card, you get a lot more information, because not only do you know that they have a 6 cost card, you find out whatever their highest cost card in their hand is, and just a really, really great 4-drop option now. 4-drops are really slim pickings, outside of like Jubilee, which is like a staple in a ton of decks with its combo with Chavez. I think that White Queen could definitely make some appearances in maybe like some collector decks now. I've just been running it as just a decently strong 4-drop card to get some information and maybe an alternate win condition for my opponent. But definitely try her out. I have a special spot in my heart for White Queen. My very first Marvel Snap video was on this channel was about the White Queen and how to use her and why I like her. She quickly just kind of got to the point where she couldn't be used, and now maybe with this buff, you'll see her in a lot more decks. Who knows? And now onto the nerfs. The first being Devil Dinosaur. Used to be a 3 energy, 0 power card with ongoing +2 power for each card in your hand. Now a 4 energy, 0 power card, +2 power for each card in your hand. Definitely think that this is a deserved nerf. Devil Dinosaur is so disgusting at 3 energy. The ability to Moon Girl it and then play 2 on turn 6, or Moon Girl towards the end of the game, refill your hand. It was just way too overtuned. You know, you were getting like 10 power on average when you face Devil Dinosaur, and for 3 energy, that's just way too strong. At 4 energy, I still think it'll see play. Any collector deck would still love to have this card. Any just kind of like big, hold your hand for a while type of card that's not trying to puke out your hand at the end. Still really love Devil Dinosaur. Just gets it more in line with the power level of other cards, so definitely still a consideration, but not a card that you almost have to convince yourself not to put in just about every deck that doesn't end with an empty hand. Next we have Moon Girl. Moon Girl used to be a 3 energy, 3 power, on reveal, duplicate your hand. Now it is a 4 energy, 4 power, on reveal, duplicate your hand. Moon Girl was a huge problem. When a game like this, where you pretty much have no draw available to you, Moon Girl was a way to essentially get draw. You would copy your hand, so you'd copy cards that you wanted in your deck, which is essentially like drawing additional copies of it. And it was pretty well statted, you know, at 3 energy, 3 power to copy your hand. They moved it up and gave it a little bit of extra power. I think that this is a totally fair way to nerf it. My thoughts were to make it a 3 energy, 0 power card is how I wanted to see it nerfed, because I don't know, I like playing combo decks. I feel like at 4 energy it's going to be really hard to play this and then have enough time to still play all the cards you want to. I'm sure that Moon Girl will still find use. It's still a absolutely monstrous effect to have in this game. Plus, with a little bit extra power, you're not sacrificing as much by paying more energy for it. I don't know. I think that it's still going to be one of the like core combo enablers when you're trying to play multiple of the same card, like trying to play 2 Patriots, trying to play 2 Cerebros, different things like that, and you want to try and get an additional copy. Moon Girl is still going to kind of be your go-to, but now it just kind of lowers your odds of being able to play it super quickly and feel good about it. And finally, we have by far the most unexpected nerf of the patch, Nova. Who wanted to lower the power level of Nova? Nova used to be a 1 energy, 2 power. When this is destroyed, give your cards +2 power. Now it's a 1 energy, 2 power. When this is destroyed, give your cards +1 power. So it keeps this card from being something you want to play your whole deck around, because the payoff is half as much. So that's a huge nerf. but there's still a lot of decks that might want to use it. Any deck that's playing Killmonger to like kill your opponent's one drops, always going to want to have Nova to blow up your own Nova. Any destruction focused decks with things like Deadpool or Bucky Barnes, you're going to want to include Nova, but it kind of keeps it from being this card that no matter how you built the deck, it was so hard to justify not playing Carnage and Nova. I hope you all appreciated that so many of the decks that I played over the last couple of weeks didn't include this card, but they probably should have most of the time. But you know, I've always found trying to find different ways to do things. It's going to get rid of some of those really awesome armor moments that I had of stopping people's Nova Carnage. But I think that right now this card is just good. It'll go in destroy decks. It'll go in decks with Killmonger. People might still try and just throw it in as an extra +1 power. It's still like a blue marble buff over your whole board, but it's just not as automatic of an inclusion, which I think is good. If I were to nerf it, I probably would have just made it 2 mana, kept the really powerful effect, made it just a little bit harder to pull off and to double up. That might not have been enough, so maybe what they're doing is right, but if Nova gets completely killed, maybe they should have taken an intermediary step, because it is still a really cool card and a cool way to think about destroying your own cards. All right, so let's just kind of read through some of the other updates. So general, improve the collecting experience for free daily credits in the shop. That's a new reminder. I don't really know what that means. I was expecting, oh, maybe there's a little bit extra, but no, it's just, it reminds you. Profanity filter, obviously great. Mute opponents emotes, gotta love squashing. Improvements to newsfeed, doesn't really matter. Added a daily limit to the amount of boosters earned from post-game rewards each day. 200 boosters a day. Don't love it. I think that I can understand they left some developer comments on here about how it only affects 10% of players, but it still just feels bad. You know, like if you're gonna play a bunch in a given day and then you just stop getting boosters, you're not gonna feel great about it. It's just, they kind of put their comment as, oh, it's going to feel more rewarding to get boosters, but it's like you can get less of this so you feel more rewarded when you get some. I don't love it. Missions. So they made the win a location with only one card a little bit easier. Everyone has been complaining about that. Congrats, you won. Missions with complete missions as a goal will now make progress when player claims missions instead of when missions are merely fulfilled. I don't know, might be good. Seems fine. Some stuff about the season pass, a little bit more credits, less boosters, which I think is fine. The season pass meter displays current season pass level instead of next season pass level. That used to be kind of annoying and weird, so I'm fine with that. We'll go through the cards. We already kind of talked about those, and we'll start talking about some of these locations. So there was some small things that they changed about locations. At the end of it, changed to after. Kind of nice. I don't know if it really matters, but I guess we'll kind of see. Decreased appearance rates for a few things: negative zone, space throne, and nowhere. Definitely like the idea of changing those drop rates for different locations. I think it's going to be really important in the future. And then we have new locations. We have Starlight Citadel. After turn 4, swap the position of each location. This one's interesting. It makes you really think, you know, if you see it drop on turn 1, okay, I have no idea how things are going to be, so I should just play anywhere. If it drops on turn 3, it can kind of ruin your game plan if you already played some setup on certain locations. I really like how it works with like really restrictive locations, because you want to start puking out your hand if you see like Sanctum Sanctorum there, because maybe it lands where you have a couple different things. So really like it. It's cool. Death's Domain, when you play a card here, destroy it. So this is just Nowhere. So they reprinted Nowhere, and we'll talk about Nowhere's new effect. And then the Icebox, give a card in each player's hand +1 cost. Really interesting. They actually kind of shadow updated Iceman to say at a maximum of 6, and they didn't add it to this location. I'm gonna guess it works the same way. Love it. Cool, simple, mirrored effect that changes the game. A little bit of RNG, but you know, can mess up some combo decks, but it's whatever. Location updates. Nowhere is now on reveal. Effects do not happen at this location. So Cosmo is just vibing on Nowhere, making everyone not able to do on reveal. Seems fine. Maybe they'll do a similar thing with ongoing. Can mess up certain decks, makes you think about where to play cards, messes you up a little bit. I think it's totally fine. Mirror Dimension on turn 4, transform into one of the other locations. like this, because there was a lot of times where Mirror Dimension would come up after like, what is it, Westview, and then it just wouldn't do anything. And then, you know, it does make some things clear. So I like that. We have some bug fixes. None of them seemed huge. A couple that I did want to highlight, and sorry, I'm going to be looking all the way over to the left. So some of these are pretty good. Fix an issue that would cause bar with no name to have no sound effect. That was always really weird whenever it would happen. They weren't giving enough rewards for the hard location. This one is big. Fixed an issue causing Domino and America Chavez to interact unexpectedly with Weird World. I lost so many games because I just didn't get a turn 6 draw against someone with Weird World, and I needed an out, and then I just didn't get to draw anything. So that always felt weird, so I'm really happy. Fixed all snap errors that kicked players out of matches. Always good if they're keeping it in the game. Seemed like some other bugs exist now. Like, I don't know, it didn't seem like they fixed too many other bugs. More carriers or characters and variant arts are updated, so that's really exciting. I'm so excited to see where they go with things. The last thing I wanted to talk about was just the general UI updates and the general like feel of things. So I'll start with like the UI updates. They changed how boosters, credits, and gold look. They changed just some visual upgrades. I'm not in love with it. The credits look cool, gold looks fine. The boosters look real weird. I think it's just something because I'm used to how the other boosters look, and these look completely different, but it doesn't really matter, right? It's just boosters. The other ones are going to be the new voice lines. There's a lot of new voice lines for different cards. I was not super impressed. I actually like the old snap and oh snap sounds. I really like those sounds, and the new ones are fine. They sound cool too, but it makes me miss the old ones, I guess, a little bit. The other problem with some of the new sounds the cards are playing is that they seem almost not fully mixed or fully finished. I don't know if that's the case. Maybe they'll sound better, or maybe I'm just not used to them, but hopefully that gets worked out. And then the other cool things are new visual effects on locations. Lots of really cool ones. Murder Worlds is incredible, makes crazy funky sounds, everything's moving around. The new location that stops you from revealing that turn has this cool water effect that goes everywhere. So as far as the visual changes, I think they did a fantastic job. Now overall, I think this patch was a big W. I think they nerfed the right cards. They gave some buffs to some cards that a lot of people just didn't think were good enough. I would love to see more small buffs and nerfs, just a power here, a small effect here. I think that could keep the game really fresh. As a content creator, it's kind of weird because it makes some of my decks obsolete that I've played and that I have videos out there for, but you know, I'm always going to be making new ones, so I can't really complain about that. And I love a fresher game experience because it opens up the meta for new decks to see, new decks to play, more fun to have. So like I said at the beginning, do the YouTube stuff, help me out, catch me on Twitch, Pinks_plays, and let me know in the comments, do you like videos like this where it's not actually gameplay, I'm just talking about things? I can try and find some other ways to do it. But as always, thanks so much. Pinks out.